Good morning. North Korea rebukes the United States retaliatory sanctions on the communist country as questions remain on the fate of inter-Korean dialogue. 3 more bodies are found as the search continues for Air Asia Flight 8501. Bad weather and high seas wreak havoc on search efforts. The elbow bump instead of a handshake. The UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon exchanges elbow bumps, also known now as the Ebola handshake. The new year has broken and we're wondering what people have been up to and how they're starting 2015. On Korea Today, Monday, January 5th, 2015.
From Arirang News, this is Korea Today.
And a good Monday morning to you all. Welcome to Korea Today. I'm Kim Min-jung with Kim Young and Jin-ju. It's the first Monday of this year.
Right, and during the first weekend of the new year, various winter festivities took place across Korea. And over in Homcheon County, Gangwon-do Province, a Gonggung Festival, or trout fishing festival, took place with some 150,000 visitors taking part in this trout fishing
Look at
festival.
that crowd.
That is a crowd, right?
Look at that hole also. We just love the name of this festival, the Gonggung Festival. You can just picture the Homcheongang River just completely frozen and people having a lot of fun on that river. Trout fishing is apparently the it thing to do these days.
Well, as you can see, you can do it by hand or you can do it with a little fishing rod that you can purchase over there. If it's too cold out for you to hang out there, then you could rent these individual tents as well. Last year, one of the troubles was that the ice didn't freeze enough, so a lot of these winter festivities, they got off to a late start. But it seems like this year is the time to go.
That's right.
All right, now we'll jump to our top headline for this morning. Following the United States announcement of sanctions on North Korea in response to Pyongyang's alleged cyber attack on Sony Pictures, North Korea rebuked the move, saying the latest actions by the U.S. reflects its continuous hostility towards the communist nation. Although North Korea has denied any involvement in the hacking on Sony after it produced the comedy about a plot to assassinate North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, the U.S. announced the sanctions this past Friday. The North says the sanctions will not weaken the country and will prove counterproductive. Meanwhile, the South Korean government has offered talks at whatever level the North is open to, leaving several options for the North to consider, but also has made clear that the dialogue should be without preconditions, such as halting South or Seoul and Washington's joint military drills.
Quarantine officials have confirmed new cases of foot and mouth disease among hogs over the weekend, this time in Andong City and Uiseong County in Gyeongsang-buk-do Province. This puts the total number of the foot and mouth outbreaks to 32 since December. Seoul's Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs Ministry held an emergency meeting on Sunday with officials from the affected areas to come up with specific measures to clamp down on the outbreak.
Public officials are putting together an emergency task force. We are discussing with farm owners to vaccinate all animals in the area as a precautionary measure.
Last December, the Agriculture Ministry raised the warning level from advisory to alert. And while it is stepping up disinfection in farms nationwide and limiting animal transport, the warning levels will remain unchanged. The spread had largely been focused around the central Chungcheongdo province, but the recent cases in the southeastern Gyeongsang-buk-do province has raised concerns of a possible countrywide infection.
A preliminary test revealed that a Korean healthcare worker feared to have contracted Ebola while based in Sierra Leone is not infected. The worker, whose identity has been withheld, is in stable condition and is not currently displaying any symptoms of the virus, according to medical officials at Charité University Medicine Berlin. But further monitoring and additional testing is going to be required. The worker was flown to Berlin on Saturday after the index finger came into contact with a needle used on an Ebola patient on December 30th. The worker is one of the 10-member South Korean medical team dispatched to an Ebola clinic near Sierra Leone's capital, Freetown. Korea has joined global efforts to fight Ebola by sending medical workers and offering a combined $12.6 million in assistance, and will proceed with its plan to send 20 additional workers. The virus is estimated to have claimed more than 7,900 people in the last year, according to the World Health Organization.
Now, marking the new year, we're going to take an in-depth look into the changing diplomatic dynamics in Northeast Asia and the prospects for this year. And joining us today is Professor Song Se-ryun from Kyung University, also a commentator for Arirang News. Good morning, Professor.
Good morning.
Now, the South Korean government has proposed talks with the North last week, and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un had said that he is open to inter-Korean summits. There are hopes that inter-Korean ties will improve this year. What's your thought on this, and in what framework do you think an inter-Korean summit will take place in the coming months or in the coming weeks, perhaps?
I think the prospect is getting better by the day. I'm not sure about the high-level talks all the way up to the presidential, but I think that there is a genuine prospect for open relationship. The reason is for this. North Korea is suffering from economic situations, ostracized by the international community, and their economic situation and the relationship, especially relationship with the U.S., has been soured, evidenced by the current sanctions they placed on it. I think they need the South to smooth the relationship with the U.S. Alternatively, they might have, over the several years, they have come to a conclusion that the South is a genuine way to go in terms of getting the benefit from the international community and economically. So either way, North Korea has an incentive to smile more towards the South. But there's a sense that we've seen this before, kind of thing, because North Korea always valued the relationship with the U.S. more in terms of getting international aids or getting the sanction lifted. So in their brinkmanship, they might continue to use the South to get to the U.S., but in doing so, I wouldn't rule out the possibility that they will have some skirmishes and even the military provocations.
And over the past year, North Korea has increasingly become closer with Russia, while its relationship with China has soured. Now, what's your prospects for the relations among these three countries, and what do closer Russia-North Korea ties mean to the South?
Well, I think it's a little bit of a desperation move. Russia has their troubles themselves, and North Korea and Russia both resent the U.S. for various reasons. So they have reasons to be on the same corner. But at the same time, Russia is too busy with their internal situations because of the Ukraine issues and also the dropping oil prices that has put them in a very dire situation. So I think that they are in the same corner, but in the real relationship, probably not much will come out. But there is a sense that if they do cooperate together militarily, that puts a pretty severe strain, possibly in the power relationship in the Northeast, because Russia gets the direct route towards the Pacific region here. So their presence potentially could be increased with increased or better relationship with North Korea. So in that sense, that changes the subtle balance in the Northeast militarily, on also in a minor manner economically as well.
And moving on to South Korea's relationship with Japan. Now, this year marks the 50th anniversary since the two countries have established diplomatic ties, but the historical and territorial issues still remain unresolved. And the Japanese government has released an educational video over the weekend supporting its claims over the Korea-controlled Dokdo Island. Do you think there will be some kind of a breakthrough for the South Korea-Japan ties this year?
Well, one would hope so, and I would think that the neighbor relationship with not only with Japan but with China is very important for not only the region but the Korea's prospect. But at the same time, Japan is going through the right-wing tendency kind of shift over the years, and Abe is still pushing for the constitutional reform to get away from the pacifist principles they had, and is very buoyed by the snap election result recently. So the experts expect that nothing much will change in terms of their stance going forward in 2015. And Japan's, the right-wingers' stance being the main reason for this kind of cool relationship or cold relationship in this region, probably nothing much will change. But Korea hopes to push for the real change, so they suggested the three-country foreign ministers meeting. So I think there's an incentive for the Korea, and depending on what happens in Abenomics, probably Shinzo Abe will push for better economic situations, and that would include a better relationship with not only with South Korea, but with China as well.
All right, Professor Song, thank you for your insight and time this morning.
Thank you.
Good morning. It's time to run through the front pages of your newspapers now. A lot of the top stories this morning are regarding North Korea. We'll take a look at some of them, starting with 중앙일보's top headline here. And the title says Seoul government evaluates rather than supports U.S. sanctions on North Korea. So you heard earlier, tension between the U.S. and North Korea further escalated over the weekend as Washington imposed new economic sanctions Friday against Pyongyang in response to the reclusive regime's alleged cyber attack on Sony Pictures Entertainment. Now, if we take a look at these sub-headlines, Seoul simply evaluated the new sanctions by the U.S. instead of supporting them. Observers say this stance of the presidential office of Cheongwade may be in consideration of the recent somewhat thawing atmosphere between the two Koreas, since the two sides have expressed willingness to hold bilateral talks. Meanwhile, on 동아일보, there's another story. This one is about a North Korean defector, and the title says, armed North Korean runaway soldier kills 4 Korean Chinese over in China. Now, if we take a closer look at the article, a North Korean soldier who had defected from the north was caught by the Chinese military after robbing and killing 4 ethnic Koreans living in China at a town near Dumangang River. He was shot by the army and police there, and is currently believed to be in a state of unconsciousness. Now, the paper says anti-North Korean sentiments in China have been heightened due to the incident, raising forecasts for a worsening of Pyongyang-Beijing ties. Another story regarding North Korea here on 조선일보, and this one says review possibility of North Korea co-hosting several events for Pyeongchang Olympics. Taking a look at this sub-headline, the paper says Governor of Gangwon-do Province Choi Mun-sun and the Governor of Gyeonggi-do Province Nam Kyung-pil met yesterday for a New Year's meeting under the title of North Korea Policy and Inter-Korean Economic Cooperation. Now, regarding the 2018 Pyeongchang Winter Olympics, Choi said that he would review a measure to allow for a few events, including snowboarding, to be co-hosted in North Korea for symbolic purposes because the North must participate in these games. He further added that he plans to create an inter-Korean peaceful business complex to develop a special district under a united market. And Governor Nam also agreed on the need to build a future unification city for the two Koreas near the demilitarized zone. Wrapping up with a look at the economy here on the Mail Business newspaper. This is a quite interesting story regarding the 2015 conference over in Boston. The title says Piketty versus Mankiw, arguments on wealth inequality. As you can see here, the American Economic Association annual meeting has kicked off over in Boston with some 20,000 top academic economists from around the world participating to discuss key economic issues of the present day. Now, at the conference, French economist Thomas Piketty authored to his groundbreaking book on inequality called capital in the 21st century. And a conservative economist at Harvard University, Greg Mankiw, argued over the topics of capital, income, and inequality. The two had a very different understanding of the problems plaguing the current economic system. Now, their main points being that Piketty sees a worsening of extreme economic inequality, whereas Mankiw sees no need to worry over such inequality being aggravated. And that was a look at our local headlines on this Monday. Now following are the stock numbers from Friday.
Well, we were expecting quite a weekend, quite a cold weekend, but it wasn't as cold by come Sunday. It did warm up just a tad bit for you to enjoy some outdoor activities. That's probably why a lot of people did show up to the winter festivals.
That's right. What kind of weather conditions are we expecting today, though? That's the real question. And we'll turn to our Chun Sung-cho, who joins us from outdoors.
Live from Yongsan Family Park. We're starting off with relatively mild conditions at 0 degrees Celsius here in Seoul this morning. But as we approach the late afternoons, a trough of low pressure system in the southwest will come our way with stormy weather. Overnight through early next morning, we'll see either rain or snow all across the country, except for the east coastal regions. It's expected to bring in from 10 to 20 millimeters of showers over the southern regions and from 5 to 10 millimeters in the central regions. Toward the mountainous Gangwon-do province, where temperatures are lower, and also in some parts of the inland areas, flurries of up to 7 centimeters can pile up in the next 24 hours. Currently, there are some areas, especially toward the west coast, that are blanketed with dense patches of fog, reducing visibility. For example, visibility in Seosan, Chungcheongnam-do province is less than 100 meters, so drivers should definitely pay extra attention to the roads on their way out this morning. And with that, let's take a closer look at today's temperature readings around the nation. Midday highs are all looking relatively warm today, ranging from 6 in Seoul and 18 degrees in Jeju, being exceptionally warm. And after the wet weather tomorrow, a cold snap is in the forecast again. This is all for me with the weather forecast. Back to Minjung.
We are now entering week 2 of search efforts for the missing AirAsia flight that disappeared over the Java Sea 9 days ago, less than an hour into its flight. We'll get the latest on this and much more with our Eunice Kim, who joins us from the news center. Good morning to you, Eunice.
Good morning.
Now, bad weather and tough conditions seem to continue to hamper search efforts. What's the latest?
Well, Minjung recovery teams hope to re-enter the Java Sea when light hits later today to continue their search for downed AirAsia Flight 8501. Divers will try to locate the plane's fuselage. That's where most of the bodies are believed to be. The operation did manage to recover at least 3 more bodies on Sunday, though, bringing the total count to 34. 9 ships from 4 countries are zoning in on a search area about 90 nautical miles off the coast of Borneo Island. Sonar technology also spotted large pieces of wreckage over the weekend, including some measuring about 18 meters long. Now, they'll need to locate the black box to determine the exact cause of the plane's downage, but Indonesia's weather agency did indicate this weekend that the plane's engine may have stalled due to icy conditions in the air, citing initial analysis. Indonesian officials also told various media that AirAsia was not authorized to fly the Surabaya to Singapore route on Sundays, though it was licensed on 4 other days of the week. AirAsia has said it will fully cooperate with investigations. In a move seen as a further diversification of the Catholic Church, Pope Francis has named 20 new cardinals from 14 different countries, including the developing world. Appointees from nations such as Myanmar, New Zealand, and Ethiopia represented nearly every continent on the globe, except for Antarctica. 15 of them were younger than 80 years old, making them eligible to vote for the next pontiff. And with this appointment, Pope Francis has now selected more than 1/4 of the cardinals who can vote for his successor. The nominees are to be formally installed on February 14th after a meeting of all cardinals to discuss reform on the Roman Curia, or the Vatican's administrative body.
And turning our eyes to London this time, there are allegations that Prince Andrew had sexual contact with an underage woman more than a decade ago, but Buckingham Palace is strongly denying the allegations.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Not once, but twice did it release a strongly worded statement saying the allegations were categorically untrue and, quote, without any foundation. This after two Sunday newspapers in the UK had published interviews with a woman now in her 30s who said she was forced to have sexual relations with the Duke of York between the years of 1999 and 2002 in London, New York, and a private Caribbean island owned by American billionaire and convicted pedophile Jeffrey Epstein. Now, Epstein is embroiled in a court case in Florida, which named Prince Andrew as one of two powerful men the American had courted using minors for prostitution, and Minjung, the other person named, was a Harvard law professor, Alan M. Dershowitz, and he has also vehemently denied the claims and promised to file disbarment proceedings against those lawyers who filed the motion.
All right. Well, these allegations themselves are raising some eyebrows.
Yeah, you can say that.
We'll have to keep an eye on that story. Thank you for that, Eunice.
Sure thing.
And still ahead on Korea Today, creativity is one word on our viral feed menu today. A man uses everyday items from shoes, cushions, and even a coffee machine to make music. Sounds like music to my ears. Then little tots were mini dance machines, all of this and much more. So stay tuned.
So last week it was a review of the year 2014 in arts and entertainment, or arts and culture, and a peek into 2015. Now it seems that there are a lot of arts and culture genres that will be thriving in 2015, but this one a lot of people are keeping an eye out on. That's the musical industry, and joining us is Im Yoon-hee to talk more about that. Good morning, Yoon-hee.
Good morning, good morning. So it's no new news that last year the arts and culture industry really took a big hit here in Korea. So of course, on the road to recovery, the start of this year is very important, and it looks like musicals, especially original production musicals, are taking center stage. Take a look at this next report. Last year saw many empty stages and even more empty seats. Plays, musicals, and shows were canceled out of respect for a country in mourning, and ticket sales were affected. Attendance rates at performances were said to have dropped an estimated 20%.
This year, musicals were affected more by external factors than internal factors. The impact of the Seoul ferry tragedy shrank the consumption of art and culture, thereby burdening the market for musicals as well.
But even in the thick of some sad times, one sector of the industry seems to still be holding the light. The original Korean musical Frankenstein sold a surprising number of tickets earlier this year.
They take internationally well-known novels and turn them into musicals, which gives them a huge advantage.
Alongside original productions, this year also saw the import of many famous international musicals, licensed to Korean production teams. Musicals such as Kinky Boots and Once were hits with Korean audiences.
The diversity and subject matter of Korean musicals is maturing, and the people behind them are now being recognized internationally.
And on the Korean play production front, domestic companies like the Kim Soo-do Project have avoided being dragged into the slump. However, this holiday season, there was a fallout between many of the Korean play associations and the Korea Performing Arts Center. That's now been resolved, but a few blemishes still mark the relationships. This year has another wave of famous international musical performances in store that will hopefully continue to bring new life to the industry.
So 2014 was a bad year. 2015, we're hoping for a good year this time around. And musicals have been really, really popular throughout. They've been holding their own. Now, there's a couple of big foreign musicals that are showing in Korea right now as we speak. Tell us a little bit about that.
Right, so a couple of them, Kinky Boots and Once. Those are a couple of the really popular ones that are selling today. But Kinky Boots actually has a unique story behind it. So it's actually the Korean entertainment giant CJ actually invested $1 million into the musical, and it went on to win 6 Tony Awards that year. And so now it's finally been brought to Korea, so that definitely has people interested. But also it's going to be showing through February, but also, Once is another really popular musical that so far has been doing very well.
Okay, these are featuring Korean artists, Korean musical actors and actresses who are doing the Korean rendition, right?
Exactly.
All right, now what musicals can we expect to see in the future?
So
Any big ones?
So in the future, we have some musicals coming in, some pretty big ones, some pretty popular ones. So Gone with the Wind will finally be showing here in the capital. Now that had a 4-year sort of hiccup. People were trying to get that on the stage, and it'll finally be showing. Robin Hood is another musical you can catch, and Zorro, Marie Antoinette. Those are musicals that have shown in the past that have been very popular, and they'll be back again.
All right, well, sounds great. It looks like this year is going to be filled with a lot of these musicals. We hope to see some of the more smaller, the independent musicals that also catch a lot of waves as well. I'm sure we'll be hearing a lot more about that too.
I'll keep an eye on those for you.
All right, thank you very much, Uni.
It's always a pleasure.
All right, still ahead on Korea Today, we're going to look at our hashtag Curious in Korea segment and look at some of the resolutions and the plans that people do have for the year 2015, right? The new year has broken. We're wondering what people are up to and how they're starting the year, what unique plans they have, and what New Year's resolutions are topping the lists. We'll hear all about it on hashtag Curious in Korea.
UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon has been refusing to shake people's hands after returning from his trip to Ebola-stricken countries.
That's right. Instead, he's greeting people with an elbow bump, and it's done something like this.
Yes.
Instead of a fist bump, it's an elbow bump. For more, we'll turn to our Seomi Sorang, who joins us in the studio. Good morning to you. Fist
Good
bump.
morning.
I mean, elbow bump.
So elbow bump. It's well-intentioned. It's out of an abundance of caution since he came back from several African countries that were struck by the Ebola outbreak, including Liberia, Guinea, and Sierra Leone. Now, on his return back to New York, Ban Ki-moon decided against a 21-day quarantine, instead doing business as usual, but he has adopted the elbow bump as one precautionary measure. Now, the elbow bump, also called the Ebola handshake, is considered to have a lower disease transmission rate than the traditional handshake, and so the gesture has been adopted by many healthcare workers and diplomats visiting Ebola-affected countries.
You briefly mentioned, but Ban Ki-moon is currently against the 21-day quarantine, mandatory quarantine.
He is, and he's been very vocal about it too. I mean, as early as last October, he's publicly condemned the mandatory quarantine, saying that it's not based on science. And even this time, he's decided to forego the quarantine, saying that doing so would encourage stigma on returning healthcare workers.
Either way, I think it looks pretty cool.
Good way. Street cred. Now, meanwhile, back home in Korea, a job posting is raising a few eyebrows and receiving a lot of backlash online. It's a posting made by a convenience store owner looking for someone to work a casual position. So this is a post. So here are the hours, job description. Now in the payment section, it says, I will not disclose pay on this post nor by phone. In fact, I don't think you should expect a lot of money working at a convenience store. Phrasing which is questionable, phrasing which seems to imply that you won't be paid anything or close to nothing because you'll be paid in experience. So a lot of complaints online about how ridiculous it is that, you should be suggesting an internship-like scheme for such a basic casual position. And wrapping up, 1,000 birds, 1,000 cranes, endangered cranes, have been seen at the Suncheonman Bay in Jeollanam-do province. So the cranes look like this. They are the hooded cranes, and there are less than 10,000 of these endangered hooded cranes in the world, and in Korea they're designated Natural Monument number 228. Now the migratory birds breed in southern Siberia and winter in Korea, Japan and China. The wintering site in Korea is this Suncheonman Bay, where there's a large field of reeds around 5 square kilometers.
Nice and beautiful. I like the bird. I mean, sometimes when you see these birds flocking to another place, it can be a little scary. Yeah, well, this one's quite beautiful.
Right. Not as many in number this time.
And Suncheonman Bay is known to be home for many, many migratory birds.
You're absolutely right. And actually, it's this bay is quite interesting. It's actually known as the wetland that attracts the most number of rare birds in the world.
Wow.
So not only these hooded cranes, but also the Eurasian oyster catchers, white storks, and so on.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Arirang, for that.
You're welcome.
And a good Monday morning to you all as we kick things off with the Korean national football team who faced off against Saudi Arabia on Sunday in their final tune-up match before going into their 2015 Asian Cup. Now, despite manager Uli Stolice focusing on the offense throughout the match, the Korean national team unable to find the back of the net in the first half as the first goal comes in the 66th minute on an own goal by Saudi Arabia's Osama Housawi, giving Korea the 1-0 lead. But in the 90th minute, Korea finally scores, and it's none other than Lee Jung-hyup who scores in his national team debut, giving Korea the 2-0 lead and the win. Meanwhile, Korea kicks off their Asian Cup group stage match against Oman this Saturday. And now moving over to figure skating this time, where the National Figure Skating Championship is set to take place at the Mokdong Ice Rink in Seoul this week. And giving out the medals on the final day will be figure queen Kim Yeon-ah. Now, with Yeon-ah's kids competing at the national championships this week, the Korean Skating Union stated that Kim Yeon-ah will be on hand on the final day to give out the medals to the winners. And it will be a special moment here in the nation since it'll be the first time she'll make an appearance at a domestic competition since her retirement in February. Now, Kim Yeon-ah, who has long been supportive of her juniors, have been visiting them once a week to give them pointers while continuing her education. And now moving over to golf here in PGA, where Bae Sang-moon might be playing his final golf tournament this week before heading over to military. Now, the 29-year-old who has permanent residency in the States was not granted an extension of overseas travel visa and is forced to serve his mandatory military service. And while the option to earn an American citizenship still remains open, the two-time PGA Tour winner knows it's an option that will cause problems later on. Meanwhile, Bae Sang-moon is set to compete at the Hyundai Tournament of Champions this week, as it might even be his final event before serving his military service. And now moving over to baseball this time, there's a little more than 2 weeks left until Nexen hero slugger Kang Jong-ho and the Pittsburgh Pirates need to finalize a deal. But with the lack of talk between the two sides, are the Pirates really interested in Kang Jong-ho? Well, rumors are coming out that the Pirates bid on Kang Jong-ho in order to prevent other teams from signing him. And his agent, Alan Narrowcheck, came out in a recent interview confirming that the Pirates are interested in signing Kang Jong-ho. Now, despite the packed infield, the Pirates might look into trading Jordy Mercer for prospects, leaving the shortstop position open for Kang. But everyone in Korea will have their fingers crossed, as they've already seen two KBO players fail to sign with a major league team this offseason. And that's going to wrap it up for me. This has been SJ. Have a great rest of the day, and see you guys again for your sports needs.
Good morning, everyone, and belatedly, Happy New Year. I'm Simon O with Viral Feed, and this is the first Viral Feed of 2015. fittingly, it's going to be a great start. We have a great lineup of stories to get to, so let's get started right away. Now, there's a saying here in Korea that the trees that will grow the tallest are recognizable when they're the tiniest little saplings. And the idea is that those who will go on to do great things show signs of their greatness very early on. And I think that's a perfect description of the video that we're about to see. Let's take a look. This is Na Ha-eun, and she set the record in 2014 as the youngest contestant to appear on K-Pop Star, a Korean audition variety show, and she was just 6 years old.
6 years old?
6 years old, and look at her cover of the song Touch My Body by the idol group Sisa. Look at that. It just, I can't, this is the umpteenth time I'm watching this video. I'm still astounded. Now, late last year, the world couldn't get enough of little Aiden Prince, and Prince is definitely fitting. Here's a guy whose amazing moves contradict everything we thought we knew about 8-year-olds. That, just unbelievable. And this little guy named Tegan is even younger than Ha-eun and Aiden.
It's like unbelievable.
Look at the way he gets into the
CG?
groove. That's exactly the thing. I thought it was CG at first because that can't possibly be real. Remember the dancing baby from the 90s with the Uga Chaka? But then along come these two adults to pick the baby up, and as you can clearly see, unless it's some super, super great CG, that was real. Now there's this little Mexican boy as well, a little cowboy, and he's as much proof as I'll ever need personally for the idea that some kinds of talent you are just born with. Look at that. And as for the people like me who haven't got talent, well, this little guy has got it all figured out. That's the kind of dancing that I can get into. No choreography, just as long as you're able to enjoy yourself.
It's amazing.
Just some incredible dancing. Now, I've made it clear before doing this segment that I am not the most talented dancer. In fact, all I'm capable of doing is the log, which goes like this. That video, just unbelievable. All right, let's go on to our second story now. There are some people who show us that any object that makes some kind of noise can be used to create music. Orchestras can take forms that we've never imagined before, so let's check it out in this next video. We start with a beer bottle, add in some shoes, couch cushions. What else? We got a trash can in there. All of these things are very easily found throughout the house, but here they're turned into instruments. Glasses, cups, even office chairs and rubber bands, they're turned into instruments in this video created by Canadian media artist Andrew Huang. And the reason that I really, really love this video is that with this kind of music, you can enjoy it with your eyes and not just your ears. Now, meanwhile, at the Incheon Asian Games last year, a Korean telecoms company showed off what they called a mobile orchestra. Now, that doesn't mean you carry the orchestra around. What it actually entails is combining all the different sounds you can hear from a mobile phone to create music. So how does it work? Well, it doesn't matter what country you're from. People's curiosity will draw them in to press on their flags. When they do, they're prompted to sing their national anthem. You can see they oblige. And soon enough, the machine answers with, again, an orchestral rendition of whichever national anthem that they chose the flag for. Look at that, all made with the various bleeps and bloops from mobile phones. In fact, I'm kind of disappointed that I never actually got a chance to see this, because I did, make it a point to visit the Asian Games. But as you can see, people were having a lot of fun with this kiosk and the sounds being made, and I think this is a great demonstration, even amid all the excitement of the Asian Games, of what an IT powerhouse Korea is. Isn't that a lot of fun? Because most of the time, if you hear a mobile phone buzzing or bleeping in the distance, it's just a nuisance. I just don't really like that noise. They sort of flip that over and turn it into music. I think it's pretty interesting. All right, let's move on to our next story here. It's going to be a look at some of Korea's most interesting ads. Now, our selections today tell stories that end with surprise endings that will be worthy of an M. Night Shyamalan movie. Let's take a look. We begin with a family gathering to celebrate the birthday of the elderly patriarch. As you can see, he's turning 72 years old.
아버님 한 말씀 하시죠. 얘들아, 내겐 지금 너희들이 모르는 아들이 하나 있다.
That is not exactly the kind of news that you expect to hear at a birthday party. Everyone's crestfallen, but I suppose that woman, the man's wife, is understandably the most upset. In fact, she's so upset that she's packed up her things and she's getting ready to leave her husband altogether. But then they come across a photo, and why is the family smiling so happily? Well, all right, we'll find out in a moment, but first, here's another storyline. Now, the kids in these ads are just teenagers.
나 이 아이 끝까지 책임질 거야.
Are they so serious about what kind of decision do they have to make?
나중에 얘기하자.
Doesn't sound like good news, does it, right? But then, wait for it. There it is. Now it makes more sense. What they've done is decided to sponsor children in need overseas. The same is true for that old gentleman from a minute ago. The child he secretly had wasn't an illegitimate son, it was just a boy he was sponsoring overseas. You know, I like that ad because I sometimes argue with my wife because I want to turn on the sports and she wants to turn on the TV dramas. And I say, oh, those twist endings and those stories, they're so predictable. I don't like that, but look how well it's used to get a great message across. So that's the ad for this week. Now, finally, moving on to our final story today. We've all had occasions when we've enjoyed a little stroke of good luck. But I'm willing to bet, however lucky you may have happened to be in the past, it was nothing compared to the next videos that we're about to watch. Take a look. Now, we begin with a man enjoying some kite surfing on a beach in the US when he's swept up by a huge gust of wind, tossed into the air. See that again in slow motion? That's gotta be, what, 5-10 meters? And then he plummets back down to earth.
You know, my thing is he should have waited until he got to the ocean.
To the water, right?
And
Maybe his arms got loose.
Was he okay?
Well, that's the thing. The first concern is he going to be okay? But thankfully and luckily, it turns out he got away with no injuries. Now, see that guy on the bike there?
Whoa.
Ooh, ugly. This is an accident that occurred in China that couldn't possibly have ended well, right? But then look at it from another angle. He disappears under the truck. Ooh, it's cringeworthy.
So he's okay.
A 16-wheeler. And after the truck passes, amazingly, none of the wheels touched him. He's a little dazed, but he amazingly walks away.
What just happened to me?
And understandably so. Look at this in Russia. This cyclist gets hit with a little bit of debris from the initial car collision, but he avoids any frontal impact that could have ended his life.
Whoa, what about the guy in the truck?
Well, thankfully, everyone walked away from this incident unhurt. Look how lucky. See, he looks mad. I'm just going to leave that behind there. Well, look at this. It's a sinkhole in the UAE on the highway. Bystanders are taking a look at the damage. And then, see that guy up top? Oof. Walks away. The earth seems to break away behind him. And yet, thankfully, you can see it in slow motion. He walks away and again is unhurt. Ooh, cringeworthy.
Well, he lives on to see another year, 2015,
Here's the thing, though. When I was compiling these videos, my first idea was I want to wish all our viewers here good luck, you know, as much luck as these people enjoyed. But having watched it again, I changed my mind. May you have more luck than those people, so that you never have to come across something so terrifying to begin with.
Maybe lucky enough so that you're never put in that position.
Exactly. Anyhow, that's it for me with Viral Feed for this first edition of 2015. I'll see you next week with more. Ciao for now.
All right, so New Year's resolutions, I broke mine already on the first day. Bam, just like it never happened, right? Well, there's a lot of people out there that do have them, right? And let's see how they're going and what their plans are for the year 2015. Hashtag Curious in Korea. And joining us is Megan Bowen. Good morning.
Good morning, Megan.
Good morning and Happy New
Happy New
Year 2015.
How did you greet in the new year?
Sleeping.
Okay, that's exciting.
So did you keep a resolution or is it still going or is just...
Well, I'm still going strong.
Okay.
Yeah. And so for this report, you know, I wanted to see what kind of New Year's resolutions Korean people generally make.
Okay. All right.
All right, we'll take a look at this next report on that and we'll see how some people are trying to keep them.
2015 has finally dawned. We've all been given a gift of 365 new days, and it feels like we can start up any task with a renewed spirit. People seem to have a new spring in their step to go along with their New Year's aspirations. Everyone has New Year's resolutions to make their year more meaningful, so I wrote some down in my diary.
Let's take a look. What's that? Money.
Around this time of year, diaries like mine sell like hotcakes as people jot down their plans and resolutions. What sort of resolutions are they coming up with? According to research, the #1 New Year's resolution among Korean people for 2015 was improving health, followed by preparing for exams to acquire certifications or promotions, and managing finances and investment ranked third.
일단 건강이 최고 우선이니까 건강하게 자랐으면 좋겠습니다.
취업할 나이라서 취업하는 게 가장 큰 목표예요.
2014년에 계획한 것 중에 토익 점수 만들기가 있었는데 아직 그거 못 만들어서 2015년에 최대한 만들어 보려고요.
아버지, 어머니 여행 보내드리는 게 이번에 저의 하나의 제일 큰 계획? 예, 이렇게 그럴 것 같아요.
So I decided to meet up with some people who are putting special New Year's plans into action. The first place I visited was a fasting center where I met with people who had left home to fast for 2 days and 3 nights as a way to greet the new year. One of the many programs offered to help forget about hunger is meditation.
I felt my body was heavy and my head too complicated. I came here to empty all that.
I came for my health and to quit smoking.
I wanted to clear away everything that's become muddled and let my body rest for a bit.
Fasting is a way to remove toxins and harmful substances from the body by severely limiting food intake. But where do people find the energy to exercise like that on an empty stomach?
It's difficult to do, but the body feels very rejuvenated after, which is why people repeat the process even though it involves a lot of hunger.
체내의 독소를 뽑아내고 몸을 건강하게 만드는 된장찜질하러 한번 가시도록 하겠습니다.
Yeah. Doenjang is a traditional fermented soybean paste. It is a delicious condiment, but using it for a massage, I wasn't so sure at first, but this method is said to be very effective at removing toxins from the body. It's an old folk remedy born through the wisdom of Korea's ancestors.
Probably not scientifically proven.
There's a little bit of exercise involved in order to maximize the doenjang's medicinal effects. This means using energy on an empty stomach, but I'm told that it's actually quite soothing and comforting for both the body and mind.
It feels like washing away all the old soil from 2014. I feel like I'll be able to start 2015 more effectively. It's very refreshing.
My mind feels cleansed so that everything will go well for my family and with my work.
Fasting is a way to purify both body and spirit. It's a pretty good way to start off the new year, wouldn't you say? Next, I visited someone who had an even more special resolution for 2015. I was given a mission, figure out what there is none of in the house.
아, 못 찾겠어요.
그래요? 그럼 내가 가르쳐 줄게요.
네.
The hints she gave me were stainless steel cups and felt bags. I got it right away. There were no disposable items at all. No plastic bags, no paper cups, not even disposable paper napkins. Why had she made such an inconvenient decision?
Oh, no toilet paper either?
Last year, I learned that disposable paper cups are very harmful. They're covered with a coating to prevent water from soaking through. That coating contains endocrine-disrupting chemicals, so I thought that I should refrain from using paper cups.
So how had this resolution been working out?
길에 나가면은 이제 플래카드 있잖아요. 그거를 이렇게 이제 주워다가 재활용을 했어요. 세탁해가지고 장바구니를 만들었거든요. 손수건을 가지고 다님으로써 더울 때 땀도 닦고 휴지를 덜 쓰게 해서 이렇게 이제 스카프로도 이렇게도 쓰고.
This homemaker has become a leader of environment protection. Here's a resolution for the new year.
For myself and for my family and for my darling grandchildren, I've resolved to stop using paper cups and to lead by example.
Next, I met with a man who appears in this calendar, which has been a hot topic lately in Korea. This calendar featuring super fit firefighters as models had the online community abuzz for some time. Benefiting a man who's so fit and toned, the location where I met him was the fitness center, and look at those muscles. Meet firefighter Shin Jae-young.
So, to look like that, though, you just have to be in the gym all day long, just like Ian.
That's right, but there's a reason why he's so dedicated to working out.
Look who's jealous.
I hope you were doing some other amazing things as well. What else are you doing?
I was selected as a model for the firefighters calendar in 2014, and later I was also selected as a firefighter hero. So I wanted to use the prize money for something meaningful. I decided to donate rice to elderly people living alone and in need.
He used all the prize money he received as a firefighter hero to buy rice. I heard he was going to deliver the rice in person, so I decided to join him. All right, let's go. So is this your first time giving rice to the elderly people?
이렇게 직접 쌀을 가지고 기부하는 거는 처음입니다. 마음이 참 뿌듯합니다.
It's always exciting to do something for the first time, and that's how firefighter Shin Jae-young felt on this day.
He's got a heart of gold.
약소하지만은 좀 따뜻하게 받아주십시오.
And so our firefighters' New Year's resolution is already being fulfilled. We've all heard the saying that it's better to give than to receive, and it was pretty evident in the face of this hero fighter.
I'm going to work out even harder this year, and if I win any contests I enter, I'd like to spend my prize earnings to help those in need.
Korean people put so much effort into achieving their New Year's resolutions. I hope all the dreams they have for 2015 will be realized.
Well, I think you hear about 70% of the answers that people give you, and when you ask them about their resolutions, the fact something about for themselves or their family, right? Nothing really. You really don't hear people trying to make changes for other people, right?
Right, and so that's why I think the firefighter Shin Jae-young is so awesome, and I feel super encouraged. I want to go and help people as well. And he said at first he wasn't really accustomed to giving, but it's kind of like a habit that you can form. So I think that I would like to form.
It helps that he has a good body. I mean, and this is the calendar that in which he features in, right? Look at we've talked about this in our news summit.
So
we really wanted to take a look at this diary. I mean, just and then if you have a body like this and you want to go and get girls, I suppose, or something. But I mean, he's using it for a noble cause, which is really commendable. And I get to keep the diary.
And it's really cool. It actually helps children who are burn victims, which is appropriate, for firefighters, I think.
And I see that pistol over there and all these other items that's lined up here.
Oh.
Well, you also have a lovely item in your lap.
A doll.
Okay, tell us about these.
So these are called, New Year's resolution aids. Things that you can buy that help you fulfill your New Year's resolutions.
Okay.
So, for example, here we have an alarm clock.
All right.
Alarm clock. Okay. That goes
this is
with
the
snooze.
I see.
So if you want to wake up early, so the target comes
that is
up.
So cute.
If you want to wake up early, right. So in order for the alarm to shut off, you have to shoot it.
I have to shoot it.
Right.
Well, this makes it easy, though.
Right. Well, it's not that easy. If you put it far away, look at you. You shoot so well, right?
Interesting. And this little bowl right here, I guess it helps you with the diet?
Right.
Okay,
so it looks like a...
Yeah,
it says,
oh, man.
Put down your spoon and get up.
It's not... Okay, so...
So look, it's half the size of a normal bowl, and then it says 숟가락 고만 놓고 궁디 뛰라, as in like put down your spoon and get up and go.
I won't tell you how much it is. I mean, this is about the size of a regular bowl of rice, but when you flip it over, it's about halfway.
It's about half the size.
So you can see that big old gap over here, the void. This is the void. This is what's
what you're not eating.
This is what's gonna help you use that word. Get this bowl out of my face.
I feel like if I use this bowl, I know it's half. So then I'll just get two bowls.
Go for second.
Get two bowls.
Oh, wow, this is pretty neat.
Wow.
Right, and so the next one, here we have some milk carton looking things, and they're actually banks.
Okay.
So it's to help people stop smoking.
Okay, and how
So
exactly
helps
does it work?
the money that you supposedly saved from not smoking,
Oh, I
you
see.
put in here.
Okay.
So let's say if you're gonna buy some cigarettes today, you put that amount of money in here, and then when you see how much money you've made, that motivates you to like keep going.
It's gonna fill up pretty fast, considering that
Prices
cigarette
went up.
prices went up with the start of the new year.
And although we saw some impressive resolutions for the new year, were there any more interesting resolutions or
interesting
funny or
ones?
innovative resolutions you came across?
Okay, so there was one. There's a couple who had been married for 10 years, and so they said for 100 days they will not fight.
Oh, for 100
That's
days.
gonna be a tough one to keep.
Maybe they're not going to see each other
Maybe
for
not
180
verbally
days.
fight. They can write a note, right?
That's a good method of fighting.
And then also, you remember the lady who doesn't have any disposable items in
Right.
her home? She has a thing that she says she takes her BMW.
BMW.
You know BMW?
Yeah.
The car?
The car, right? Well,
It's an acronym, though,
right? It's an
right?
acronym. It means bus, metro, and walking.
Okay.
So to try and save, the environment, she's just going to be taking, public
So
transportation.
public
Yeah,
transportation.
you should use the BMW as well.
Oh,
You
I
should use the
I
BMW.
love my BMW.
He actually wants the real,
You have a real BMW?
but
No.
we'll get to that
BMW is
after the
great.
show. All right, thank you so much, Megan, for that.
All right, thank you
All
for
right,
having me.
that just about does it for this edition of Korea Today.
All right. We hope you enjoyed our very first Monday of the year 2015. See you back here tomorrow morning at 7.
Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bang.
Out.